The Other Woman. This story is for the other woman. Yes. This is a story time about the time that I got cheated on with the other woman. Yes. Alright, so I met this guy at a gas station, and he was very handsome. And he asked could he fill my gas up. So I allowed him to fill up my gas. And he had on his uniform, which was military. He was nice, clean cut. And he asked me my name, and I told him. And I gave him my information so he could contact me. So from then on, we talked. He would just call me every day, text me every day. And I'm sitting here thinking like, oh my gosh, he's so nice. He's a gentleman. Then he started to take me out on dinner, movies. Normal stuff what you do when you first meet a person. So, at this time, I'm telling my friends about it or whatever. And they're like, oh my gosh, he seemed like he's a cool person. I would say his name, but I'm not. We're going to call him Chris. We're not going to call you by your real name, but it starts with a C. His name is Chris. So, from time to time, he had to go out and go overseas. Because that's, military have to do sometimes. They have to go out in the water and stay a couple of weeks or whatever. Sorry, I have a cold, guys. Alright, so from then on, he would talk to me and he would email me from his computer, because out sea you can't really call people because of the water and stuff. So he would just talk to me through email, and we would just talk back and forth messages. So the whole time I'm talking to this man thinking like he's available. I mean, he has so much time. Even when he's home, he had time to come see me all the time. But then I should have known then also, because it was like a schedule. It was like he only would see me certain times of the day or night. So as time go on, we start to get serious. And I'm like, oh my God, he might be the one for me. Oh my gosh. I'm like so infatuated. Like his time. He started buying me little gifts and stuff. Doing little, surprise gifts. So time go on and on. Alright? So I get a call. And he tells me, I'm going to have to change my number. I'm going to call you back. Or whatever. And I'm like, okay. All of a sudden he has to change the number, and I'm like, okay. So remind you, he's supposed to be single. Okay. So at the time, a female called my phone, and she was like, hi, do you know Chris? And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, this is the mother of his child. Yeah, I'm leaving him. And I'm like, you're leaving him? And I'm like, I didn't know he had a girlfriend or a child or anything. And then she's like, yeah, I'm leaving him so you can have him. And I'm like, I don't want him if he's taken. I never known for him to be taken. So I talked to her or whatever. She didn't give me too much information. She just wanted me to know that I can have him. So I took that information and I waited for him to call me. And when he called me, I asked him about the situation. I was like, this lady called my phone saying that, you have a daughter with her and that I can have you. And I'm like, how did she even find out about me? I'm just curious. And then he's like, oh, yeah, I do have a daughter. He was sorry he didn't tell me. He just was liking me so much. He just didn't want to give me too much information about him. But if you want to take me serious, you want to give me all the information, So then he talked around it, and he was like, she wanted to work it out with him and be with him, but he never was with her. She wanted to be with him because they had a child together. So I fell for it or whatever, and I just talked to him and was like, okay. So that was one time that I let him get away with it, and I let him not care and not care about what the situation was, because I'm thinking, okay, she just wanted to make it work because of the child. So that's one. So you ladies, you can't keep giving these guys chances, okay? So I did that, okay? Fast forward. My dad passed away, and then I needed space. And then I told him, my dad passed away, so I'm going to need some time alone or whatever. And he was like, oh, no problem, and this and that. He told me that I needed that. I said no. He ended up giving me a card with money in it. I told him I didn't want it. And he was just trying to be by my side because my father passed away. So within that time, January, February, so it was like 2 months of space I had. Time goes on. Okay, now, here we go again. I get a phone call out the blue. I didn't talk to him for like 2 months. I get a phone out the blue, and there's a lady called my phone, and she says, may I speak to whatever my name is? And then I said, this is her. And she was like, no, she contacted me on Facebook first. Then she asked me, because she talked to me on the phone, so I called her. She called me through the phone on Facebook. Then she asked for me, and I told her it was me. Then she asked me, why did you put hickeys on my fiance neck? And I'm like, your what? Why did you put hickeys on my fiance's neck? And I'm like, I didn't put no hickeys on your neck. I mean, on his neck. And then she's like, well, he told me that you put hickeys on his neck the other day. And I'm like, girl, my dad just passed away 2 months ago. I haven't even talked to him since my father passed away. And at this time it was snowing. And I'm like, I don't know. He must be trying to save somebody else so he can continue to be with them, but he's not with me. I told him I needed space, so I'm not the one you need to be worried about. You need to be worried about the female that he's covering for, because apparently he told you me because he knew we had no dealings and there's nothing there. So he used me, I guess, as an alibi, or by saying that I put the hickeys on him so he won't get caught up with the real woman that he's having an affair with. So she's like, why would he even say you then? I'm like, duh, because he's covering, because he know that he's not going to see me because I have a situation going on. I'm depressed. So of course he would say whatever to cover himself, cover his tracks, and he not going to out the other female because he still want to mess with her. He's not going to admit to it was her. So he rather admit and say somebody that he don't care about not talking to anymore, being that he had somebody else to replace me. But anyway, fast forward. Remind you, she hit me on Facebook, so I already know what she looked like or whatever. She know what I look like. So at that time, I was working somewhere. I'm not going to say where, but it was a business. It was an office. And, like when you go places, salons and stuff, you never know who. So she come into my office, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm telling one of my coworkers, like, look, you have to take care of her. And they like, what's going on? I was like, because I know her. She know me. She just didn't notice me. So I'm like, oh my gosh. And I had her name. So when I see her name and information, I knew who it was. And I was like, oh my God, this is about to be uncomfortable. And she had a child too by him that I knew nothing about. And she had her child with her. And I was just like, oh my God, this is the same girl who called my phone. This is his wife or his fiance. And I'm like, oh my God, there's no way I can talk to her in the office and we know each other. You know what I'm saying? Now we don't know each other like in real life, but we know each other through conversation over the phone and on Facebook. So I was just like, you have to do this. And I just swapped out and went to another office and let one of my coworkers handle her or whatever. But yeah, I just want to give y'all a little story about my little story time. Being the other woman. Being that I didn't know I was the other woman. And I always thought he was single. And that's all. Make sure you subscribe.